Hi everyone, it's Ketan Makwana here from Enterprise Lab and welcome to another episode of the League of Disruptors show. January's got off to an amazing start. We've had so many great speakers, experts and business owners that have come on and shared their geniuses, their stories. We were trying to really get out to creating the best version of yourself right the way through to yesterday having Mitch Miller on talking about how you disrupt your industry. Today's guest needs no real great introduction. I mean, what can I say about this guy? We've known each other, been in the kind of surrounds of communities together, but we have been ships in the night. We've been passing through, but learning more about Raghav Parkash, it's been an amazing, his amazing journey, what he does, the way he does this. And not only that, surrounding the amount of people who talk so highly of him, I thought I had to get Raghav on the show. So for those of you who don't know Raghav is a peak performance and personal development coach. He runs his own coaching programs and companies, working with individuals right the way through to corporate CEOs. And it comes from almost 5 or 6 years of personal experience that he's driven through, which he's now actually enforcing, engaging and injecting into people's lives so they can live a life of freedom, happiness, fulfillment. Raghav Parkash, the personal development and peak performance coach, welcome to the League of Disruptors show.
Wow, thank you. What an introduction. I was thinking, is that me? Is that the same guy that I was talking about? Thank you. What an introduction. Quite a reputation to live up to.
We're about to find out, brother. We're about to find out. How are you?
Yeah, I'm well. It's great to be on here, Ketan. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm really good and really fired to get up on this. And, first of all, we've got to really thank you for coming on the show. And I'm going to thank you in advance because I already know you're going to drop some serious knowledge bombs today, basically.
Thank you.
Now, I know you've got a really good, great sort of fan base out there of people that know you. But for our audiences that perhaps watch this afterwards when it's recorded, it'd be really good to learn a little bit more about you, your background, how you got to where you are today, and more about what you're doing. So over to you.
Sure. Wow. I love the question. Really open. So a bit about me. Well, I'm a peak performance coach. My passion is really helping people be their very best. And when I say be their best, now a lot of people associate peak performance with success and performing at your best. And that's great because I love that. It's being your best, but not doing the best. It's your best. So I'm talking about success on your terms, not anyone else's, not what your parents think you should be doing, not what your boss thinks you should be doing, not what your wife or your pizza delivery guy, the postman thinks you should be doing. It's what you want to do and a life on your terms. My passion is helping people just get into their best self, to live their best self, because what you'll find with people, even like Ketan, that once you operate from that place, the impact you have is huge. I'll talk about me in a second, but before I'd even connected with Ketan, I'd heard his name in 10 different places. Everyone's talking about the level of disruption he has, and that comes from being your best self. So what I love doing is empowering people, and the key is empowering, which means showing them that what they need to be their best comes from in here, not out there. Showing them that they can be the best and the impact they're going to have on this world and the people around them can be transformational. So that's, in a nutshell, what I do, help people just operate from the best self. And the reason I do what I do is, without trying to go too much into a sob story, ultimately when I was younger, I went through a lot of challenges. I've been through low self-esteem, I've been through depression, I've been through emotional eating disorders where I've been incredibly overweight, and I used to love my McDonald's back in the day. And back in the day, wow, memories. Onto the other side where, I was completely the other way. I was completely, under eating to try and, fit in and be good enough. I had, these challenges that had come up. And the reason I really do what I do is I remember there's a point in my life when, I'm summarizing a very long story, but there's a point in my life where I just looked ahead into the future and there was no compelling future. Everything was black, everything was dark, everything was scary. I just had no idea how I was going to turn my life around. And that's why I love, a lot of people associate, I love the words personal power and living empowered, because what really helped me do what I do is just getting to a place where I got so sick and tired and fed up of all the challenges around me, from the failures, the disappointment, the struggles, the eating disorders, the being depressed, anxious, low self-belief, everything. I just got so fed up that something inside me snapped. And in that moment, I tapped into something I called personal power, or your truth. What's really real about you, who you really are, what's possible for your life when you eradicate the ego and all these stories you keep telling yourself. And something inside of me just helped me get to that place in my life, and I turned things around. And the real reason I do what I do is I was having dinner with my mom. I remember this conversation so clearly. She said, Raghav, I know what you should do. I know what you should do with your life. I said, really, what should I do, Mum? She said, you should be a motivational speaker. I thought, okay, why is that? Is it because I can motivate people? She goes, well, really, because you can talk a lot. In fact, she said, son, you talk a little bit too much. You talk a lot. And I was like, thank you, Mum, thank you. But she goes, no, but the motivating part, I could see you maybe doing that as well. I was like, thanks, Mum. Joking aside, that's what I did. And all respect to motivational speakers, but the reason I do peak performance coaching is I like really deep stuff, like the real strategy around mindset, emotion, psychology, physiology, things that create real results, from confidence to focus to passion. These are all strategies that you can tap into. And that's what I love, just figuring out these strategies and sharing them with people around me and my clients.
That's phenomenal. And I love the bit about how your mom turns around and says, you should become a speaker because you talk a lot. I think it's a great encouragement.
Yeah.
I suppose we're going and we'll come into this about perceptions in people, because very much of the work that you do within your industry is the way you see your clients as well. Usually it's you see them a lot deeper and a lot different to the way they see themselves. And it like you say about unearthing these strategies about confidence and passion and stuff like this. But let's take you back a little bit into this period where you mentioned the words snapped, you mentioned the words personal power. I think I'm a believer that everyone has these superpowers within them. Some naturally, unconsciously throw them out and broadcast that kind of energy. Others have to work a lot harder at it because they're overly conscious of who they are and what they want to become. And from where you just started talking, it's very similar to a lot of the people that I have on this show. Either there's a spark of controversy or something that's a life-changing moment in their life, or a pivot that comes in and redirects them to where they're going. Yours actually seems like a combustion of things. It was just there wasn't just one thing. It wasn't like a divorce or you'd lost everything, or there was a relationship loss or whatever it was. It was a culmination of anxiety, of eating, of the way you were thinking, and all the looking at the future, that prosperity that you quote was non-compelling or really dark. And you use that word snap, and why I kind of trigger onto this is, do you believe that everyone needs to go through this kind of process where they almost get to a stage where their back is so firmly against a wall, there's nowhere else that they can possibly go, for their mind to start unraveling and saying, right, something's got to change, I have to change? Because I hear it every day. I'm going to change, I'm going to be better, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And actually people talk it, but they don't live it. So what's your take on the fact that that moment that it snapped? You say, I'm not really quite kind of sure, but I think you are. I think the combustion of things, you got fed up, and all of a sudden it's kind of a situation of, right, I can only just move forward. There's nowhere else I can go. What's your opinion on the basis that the people that you work with or the people that are around have to have that kind of experience within their life to enable them to move forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, yeah, it's a really interesting one, because it's the case of, does everyone need to go there and hit rock bottom? And this is a question I get asked in my seminars. And the reason I do what I do is to help people not have to hit rock bottom, because if you do, by the way, it's a very beautiful place, because when I hit that place, I became a different person. When I look at the person I was when I was younger, and people speak to me now and said, Raghav, I can't believe you're overweight. They can't believe it. But you see, it's because I had to go there. Now I'm a completely different person, and I've got this huge, incredible drive because of it. This monster drive. People that know me know I'm really focused and driven. But the reason I do what I do is just to show people that you don't have to go there, and any result you want, you can create it by just making some decisions every day. Extraordinary decisions lead to extraordinary results. And it's just empowering them to see their future, know what's possible, and creating that hunger around what they want versus trying to stay away from what they don't want. Because when the pain builds up too much to a point that you have to snap, that's what causes that. But my goal is to build up that hunger for their vision and their future, and ultimately who they want to impact, their loved ones, that big, compelling future that they get so excited, they just head towards it. So unfortunately, some people do need to hit rock bottom, and that's their path, that's their trajectory. And I don't know what causes that, whether you believe in spirituality, religion. I don't know what ultimately determines where someone is on their path and what really creates that absolute shift. But sometimes people need to hit rock bottom.
Yes.
Others can internalize and think, okay, there is hope and I can do something different. I don't need to go there.
Yeah.
They can feel that switch from within them.
And it's interesting you say that some people do need to hit rock bottom. It's a matter of realization before that actualization. But let's go back to something you just said there about decision. It's a really important word here, because at the end of the day, I think that becomes more part of the nucleus of anything happening. What is your, okay, fine, you got to this kind of situation or scenario, you want to make something, you've got hope, you've got this opportunity, you're motivated or enthused to change your life, change your circumstances. There is a difference between a thought, a goal, a decision, and an action. Now, making a decision, comes from the choices that you have. How important is it that that decision becomes the priority and you start to actually culminate action? Because what you do is you're, rather than actually maneuvering and manipulating people's emotions in that sense, you're bringing more emotional intelligence in to say, okay, this is where you are today, this is where you want to be. And, there is never going to be a structured, organic, or repetitive system or consistent system that works for everybody. So what is it that people need to do and say, right, okay, I had a choice, I've made a decision, now I've got to take action? Because the now I've got to take action bit is pretty much the hardest part of it. What do you do with clients that are kind of, or people that are in that kind of limbo between, this is what I want, but I can't take the action?
So I love that question. You know what? This is one of my favorite areas to look at because, it's funny. If I ask my family what they think I do, they think I motivate people. So I can't motivate people, but I know what creates motivation. Some of my family think when I was told them I was a life coach, they thought I was a lifeguard. So they still don't quite get what I do today. Yeah.
Do you have red shorts?
Yeah, well, I do actually. Yeah, one of my uncles thinks right now. If I told him what I was doing, he's like, "You're doing an interview on a beach." Okay, interesting. But with motivation, so I don't like pump people up, an energetic guy, but when it comes down to it, motivation is like a cake. It's a recipe. It's got ingredients based on what you think about and focus on. And if someone said, Raghav, how can I be consistent? And I get that a lot. People say, Raghav, how do you do Facebook Lives every day? I've done Facebook Lives over the last year. I think I've done about 400 videos now over the last year, 400 over the last year and a half. And it's because of one thing. I connect with my purpose. The key to motivation is to connect with why you're doing something. If you're someone that, and I've worked with people that are trying to motivate themselves to do things they don't want to do. Now, my view is there's nothing you need to do, only that which you want to do. If you're someone that says, but Raghav, I'm in a job right now I don't like, I'm trying to build my business, you're just going to reframe it because I was there, I transitioned and I said, my job is actually paying for me to go and do my business. I'm running my business on the side. My job's investing in my business. And my boss didn't know at the time. I didn't tell him, of course. But you see, it's how you see the world. So I just connect to my why. I thought, why am I doing this? Because you've got to think about the bigger purpose. Motivation is black and white. Either you love what you do or you don't love what you do. If it's not a 9 or 10 out of 10, I ask my clients, why the heck are you doing it? You're wasting your time. Money's not the most valuable resource. It's your time. You can't get that back. You're losing it. So instead, think about why you're doing something. What's the goal? What's it going to cost you if you don't take action? What's it going to give you if you do? Paint the big picture and live there. Because if you do love what you do and you're still not taking action, it's because of one thing. You're thinking about things that aren't going to serve you. Like going to the gym, you're taking one thing, which is like going to the gym, and you're stacking it, making hundreds of things like, I have to get my clothes ready, I have to take my towel, I have to go and argue with the wife before I leave the house, I've got to ice down my car. You're making something you love doing a chore. So it's all about how you see it in your mind. So it's just shrinking that, thinking about the end result. Think about your goal, think about your why, and you live there emotionally, and you create passion, and it comes out in everything you do. If you don't like it, then just change what you're doing.
Well, this is I love it because you have this directness about, look, if you don't love it, change it. And a lot of people in the industry talk, give a lot about what you need to do. You need to do this. You need to do this. It's easy. You go away and do this. And people really kind of get sucked in by this. But the bit that's missing is the how. How do you do this? Now, when we are professionals in the industry the way we are, we come from that life experience. We are the very people that have kind of put this element of effort and experience into our lives to enable us to actually start sharing those kind of things with others. So you've got a situation here where you've got someone who knows where they want to go. They're motivated, they're inspired, they're enthused, they're empowered. They've made their choices, they've taken a decision, they understand the actions. What does it take, on the how now to actually change? Because a lot of people think the change is very much a surface thing. If I change the way I do something, then it will change the result. I'm a believer that 1% change in your perception equals 100% change in your results, and that comes from the premise that what we see, we produce a behavior towards. That behavior produces an attitude, and our attitudes drive the way in which we take action. So when you have people around you who say, Raghav, I understand what you're saying to me, I'm hearing you, but yet you're not seeing them make that change, what is it that you're instructing them to do on the how do I make that change?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if someone's not taking the change, then the thing that I always look at is what would stop them. It's usually a fear, because I look at things very black and white ultimately when it comes to peak performance, because if you love something, you're going to take action. If there's something stopping you, there's an insecurity or conflict, or there's an unresolved issue that we can work on, which I love doing as a coach, because it's going deep and deep into what's really blocking them. So if someone is saying, Raghav, how do I go make it happen? I'm struggling with and I'm assuming they know the strategy, but they're struggling with executing it. I'd firstly look at, is there anything blocking them? Because we all have challenges. Whether you're a CEO, they call it stress, which is just a big word for fear, by the way. They're not allowed to say fear because they're a CEO and they don't want to be scared. Yeah. They have to be stressed. It's ultimately a fear. So it's just eradicating that, any limiting beliefs and conflicts, because this is the thing that I love. Jim Rohn blew my mind when it came to personal development. Success is something you attract by the person you become. For things to change, you must change. So if you want to achieve a goal, it's not about the goal, it's about the person you have to become to achieve the goal, which is doing the inner work. It's not about just, hey, if I'm going to earn $1 million, then that's great, I earn $1 million. You have to become that person, because once you do that, you can do it again and again and again. Yeah. But the second thing I'd recommend, I love this American expression. I love this. It's a great expression. Stacking the deck in your favor. Some of us overcomplicate the simple. As Tony Robbins says, complexity is the enemy of execution. If you want something to happen, make a system that's foolproof, easy, simple, model someone that's done it, find a way of making something difficult, very simple by breaking it down. Because even with the example of going to the gym, I was at my seminar in November, Master Your Mindset, and the AV guy, Alex Springer, I love the guy, and he's really built, really stacked. And I went up to him and said, how do you look like that? What are your rituals? How do you have the motivation to work out so much? And he said, Raghav, it's a bit of mindset stuff, but every day I go to bed at 12 and I wake up at 5 and I hit the gym. I thought, how do you do it? What's the magic juice? How do you do it? Like, I don't know anyone that does that. He said, Rag, before I go to the gym, I've got all my stuff packed the night before. My protein shake's packed. All my food's packed. So it's literally a 5-minute job. Wake up, brush my teeth, out the door. He doesn't even think about it. He makes his system very easy to succeed, that even if he didn't want to go to the gym, he probably would have to, because it's so hard to fail. So we need to make something very simple for us to follow through, because your ego is going to find reasons not to do it. But you think about your why, you make it easy for you to follow through, and that's how you can do it. Just by being consistent, doing it easily every single day. Small things daily.
Beautiful. And you see, sometimes the words like discipline and structure become very hard-nosed, and it becomes very difficult. Again, like you say, your ego. I mean, I've had Laura and Barry Ash on last year, and one of the things that Barry said, he goes, especially when it comes to things like the gym, he uses DIN moments, DIN, which is do it now, rather than talking yourself into I'm going to the gym, just go and do it. And it's a little bit like what you just mentioned in the story about Alex, and the fact that what he's done is he's prepared himself, before. So there isn't. It's like there's no excuse in that respect, and it's not a case of I've got to think about what I've got to do. He's giving himself that capacity to do it. This kind of comes down to a little bit about goals. I was on a webinar yesterday, and I was talking about goal setting. And one of the biggest things that I mentioned to the audiences was that what we tend to do is we tend to produce our visions and our missions, and then when we build our goals against the missions that we're trying to do, our goals are quite significantly large. Number one, a bit like what you just suggested, it's about micro goaling, breaking it down into digestible and equally executable chunks. But the other side of it is actually time commitment. And what I mean by that is shutting yourself out of everything else around you in that environment and dedicating the time to achieving that goal. So, for example, if you had a blog that you needed to write because it's a part of your marketing, because it's a part of some sort of campaign that you're doing, to give yourself that half an hour blocking out, nothing else, no other distractions, no emails, no Facebook, no phone, just half an hour to get that action done. How much does that fare, and in the sense of not you're scared, but how much does that play within the part of the work that you do with people, and how much do you resonate with the fact that if you are micro-goaling, it's equally as important that you're dedicating specific time just to that action and nothing else?
I think that's a really great point. I'm looking more and more into time management because time is the biggest gift and asset we have, yet we lose it. And I'm big on that. I think if there's something you want to do, like especially with micro-goaling, it's so powerful because what will overwhelm you is trying to eat the whale whole. People trying to eat the whale whole. And by the way, the secret to overwhelm, if you're someone out there that wants to overcome overwhelm, if you ever, now not that you'd want to be overwhelmed, if you ever did, think about all the stuff you got to do in a day. That's going to overwhelm you. It's going to freak you out. So what I do to overcome that is I write everything down on a list. I break it down into chunks, and I start with the first thing. What's the most highest priority? I do that, but then I think about, and now I'm pushing myself even more because I think, how long do I want to spend on this? Because if you're not careful, you can spend hours doing something that'll take 15 minutes. But when you push yourself and say, I want to spend 20 minutes on this blog, even though it might take you slightly longer, but you push yourself, you're going to become more efficient, more effective, more sharper, and you're going to value your time. Because at the end of the day, what we all want is freedom to get all the stuff done that we want to do for our business, then live the life we want. So I agree, breaking it down, chunking it, planning, it's so essential.
Brilliant. I mean, it's the thing with this is again, it's that perception thing. Once you start to see smaller goals, smaller targets, marshalling in the time, and I suppose it's that kind of practicing the micro goaling in that terms of activity, you can start to become autonomous in what you're doing, in the fact that, like you said with Alex, he doesn't think about it. He brushes his teeth, picks up his bag, and off he goes to the gym in that respect, basically, and it becomes almost second nature to you that if you're not doing it, then something's wrong. So when it comes to personal development, how much, and then obviously peak performance, there are two different elements. You've got, one's about developing yourself from inside, and the other is actually pushing yourself to become the best that you can be. How does it vary in terms of where you micro goal and marshal yourself from personal development to when you're actually building the best version of yourself?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And, I get this question a lot. How do you really focus on personal development? Because there's so many books, I've got hundreds of books, there's so many products, there's so many courses, there's so many events.
Yeah.
And the thing that I look at is, rather than just working yourself generically, ask yourself, what right now is the biggest shift that you want? What is the biggest breakthrough? Because if you're running a business, what is a business coach going to tell you? Sales and marketing. You're going to focus on those things. But at the end of the day, if you've got lots of limiting beliefs coming up that stop you from making the sale, stop you from doing the marketing, you've got to address that first. Or if you have low confidence, address that first. If you've done the confidence stuff, you might not want to pick up a Byron Katie, Tony Robbins book. You might want to look at the best sales strategies or spin selling or whatever you guys want. So I think the key with peak performance, and this is all I do with a client, it's so unique and so bespoke to them. And there's either an inner shift or an outward learning they want to have. Inner shift, which is their own goals and their own inner work, or is it an area they need to improve in? And it's just making 2 millimeter shifts, because the key with anything is that you're never miles off. We all think about the goals we've got to achieve and we forget how far we've come, and we're like, I hear this a lot, I'm miles away. It's like, no, you're just 2 millimeters away. We need to make such small, subtle shifts, as you said, the 1% focus that leads to the 100%.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. I just look at where you are right now, where you're going to be, and what's the first step that will take you closer, and just invest in that with 100% commitment and mastery, and then go on to the next. You don't need to randomly read and study everything. That's the misconception in personal development.
See, I told you guys, for who are you watching, Raghav Parkash is going to drop some serious bombs, and we've got we've got at least another 40 minutes of this. But if you've got any questions for him, please get those questions into the live, and I'll get them over to him. I'm just going to go and say hello to a few people who joined us. Haroon Rabbani's on, Luke Harvard's on, Beju saying hi, hi Beju, thank you. Ronnie Rich is on, Pretty Shah's also saying hello, and Chris Richards joined us as well. So we are talking to Raghav Parkash, the personal development and peak performance coach, and this is someone who has gone through his own back history, past, the demons. He's looked at everything that's happened in his life. This guy isn't someone who's just taken it out of a book and says, I'm going to show you how you can do it. This guy's lived it, breathed it, ate it, slept it. And this is what makes it more authentic. This is what makes it more winning. We've been, just now we've been, really filling the parts about, that bit that snaps in your life that forces you to turn. But then the challenges you have between the distinction of choices, decisions, and actions, the importance of micro-goaling and dedicating those times. But there's something that I've said here which is really, really interesting. He's talking about simplicity, make the goal simple, give yourself the opportunity to, create that easy delivery and execution of it. And by practicing it more and more in this way, it becomes more and more autonomous and part of your DNA. So, look, Raghav, while we wait for some of the questions to come in from the audiences, I want to move a little over to the 3 C's, okay? And this is all about comfort, clarity, and confidence, okay? There are three different dynamics which come into both the personal development and from a peak performance base. I mean, with peak, people really understand where they are and where they want to go, and then it's kind of the journey that they're pushing on terms of repetition to grow strength in what they're doing. But when we're looking at it from a personal development perspective, these words are used very, very loosely, in the fact of, are you comfortable with who you are and what you want to be? Do you have enough clarity in what it is that you want to achieve, and through that, are you confident? Confident can mean so many different things in so many different ways. I'm a confident person. I mean, you said it yourself. You've got CEOs of big corporates. They look confident. They ooze confidence. Yet they use the word stress, which is also the guise for fear. Surely that's a lack of confidence somewhere. Okay, so these 3 C's. What does comfort, clarity, and confidence mean in the world of your personal development and peak performance coaching?
Yeah, it's funny. When I hear comfort, I had 2 things coming up for me. One is when I think comfort, I'm like, I never want to be comfortable, because you want to be just slightly out of your edge, because every single thing you want, and I know this myself, that every single shift I've had in my life, every transformation has come one step beyond my comfort zone. So I've had to push myself to do things I don't want to do, like crazy things, and just to really boost my comfort zone. But then, are you comfortable doing what you want to do as well? That's when I think about comfort. And I remember I was watching a great video, I can't remember who by, but this is a great quote that has changed my thinking about how to grow. You've got to become comfortable with the uncomfortable and make the uncomfortable comfortable. So what that means for me is, I love that, because it's not about doing what's easy, because that's always available, but it's about taking what you find difficult and just stretching yourself and making that the norm, making it the new standard. Every extraordinary human being has pushed himself, and even Ketan's story, anyone's story, you're going to see people push themselves in extraordinary ways, which is how they create the extraordinary life. So comfort, clarity is so important, because if you're generic about anything, you're going to get generic results. Even right now, and this is going to help massively, even if you want more confidence, if you say, Raghav, I lack confidence, I lack self-esteem, if you have any of this stuff coming up, the question I ask my clients is, how do you know you lack confidence? Because I want to know where you're lacking confidence. It's not a generic thing. You can't just, by the way, guys, there's no one that is overall confidence. And I don't believe in confidence anymore. I believe in it, but there's another level that I'll talk about in a minute when we get onto confidence. But clarity is important, because the first step to any breakthrough in your life is self-awareness, being self-aware. So clarity is important, not just for your life. If you want to take your life to the next level, what is the vision? What do you want to do? What does that next level look like? If you're generic with generic words, you're going to get generic results. If you want to become less anxious, where does anxiety show up? Because I'm sure you're not anxious when you drink your coffee and have a piece of cake. You love that. So where are you anxious? Where do you not feel as strong? That's an area where you can grow. That's personal development, growing who you are continually. So clarity is important, whether you want more of anything, more sales, better business, better clients. What clients? If you want to do more of what you love, what does that look like? Or clarity on if it's something's holding me back, pinpoint what that is, because when you're aware, you can find the solution.
It's interesting. Sorry to just cut in there. It's interesting you mentioned about this, about clarity and the relevance for its from a breakthrough. With comfort, just going back quickly on comfort, there's this whole thing of when you're comfortable with yourself, you can also become very complacent in the fact that, you know, I'm sitting in this environment, I am comfy. It's a bit like sitting on a comfortable chair. You don't want to move then, you know, I don't want to change my position because I'm too comfortable this way. So that complacency can set in. So it's a very fine line. And I love the fact that you bring in this kind of, this edge about, you know, even if you're going 1% into the uncomfortable zone to make comfortable, it keeps pushing. And you're right, to achieve extraordinary things, you need to be in an extraordinary environment or have an unexpected, uncomfortable position bestowed upon you. But from a clarity perspective, when you're breaking through, you mentioned about this whole piece of, you know, when you understand what, you know, where your clarity lies and the things that you're not comfortable or clear on, that's where you have that opportunity to, you know, personally develop. What do you say to those that actually find clarity, but then actually add more and more things that they want to do? So, you know, in the case of, okay, I can get the clarity, I know exactly where I want to be, I know exactly what I want to do. And then as they're in that journey, you know, there is this word called distraction, not disruption. Distraction that comes in and another shiny object appears. It's like, oh, I want to also do that. Oh, I also want to do that. I mean, is that not a recipe for diluting your effectiveness, or perhaps creating more murky waters to the clarity that you've already worked so hard to produce?
Yeah, I agree. And I think we've got to be careful about distraction versus creativity, because the amount of times I've been doing something and an idea comes in that's going to supercharge what I'm doing and help me get there faster. So I think what it's about is when you're doing something and distractions come in the way, what I'd recommend is distractions are always going to be there. Bill Gates has distractions. Warren Buffett has distractions. Ketan has distractions. I've got distractions. We all have distractions, but that's always available. And I just say, so what? If you've got distractions coming up, this is the best thing I'd do. Get a journal. Write down all your ideas in a journal, because when you do, it's amazing the impact it has on your brain, because your brain likes to hold on to key information. If you don't write it down immediately, your brain's going to keep spinning. And especially if you're an active sleeper like me, if you get any ideas, have a journal by your bed, get it down on paper, because as soon as you do, your brain's going to think, oh, I can relax now. I don't need to hold on to that. Okay. Your brain just goes, so it's great, just because you have to distinguish between creativity, which is this something that's going to help me get there faster, versus is this just another shiny object that's in the way that looks good, feels good, but it's not real, like a mirage. So you have to distinguish, and if it's a really cool idea, keep the cool ideas later and focus on your non-negotiables. So write down all the ideas you get so you don't forget about it. Just, even if you're in the middle of something and an idea comes up, quickly, Microsoft Word or your journal, jot it down, and then come back onto what you're doing. So
it's also it's all about keeping it real as well, isn't it? At the end of the day, because, you know, ideas come 10 a penny. You're just some of my most effective thoughts and brainstorming and processing happens when I'm literally wanting to go to sleep. You know, it's because I'm at my most relaxed state, and this is where things open up. I mean, I normally take about an hour, you know, before I can really kind of close my eyes and go down. And as a result of this, what was happening is I was becoming overconsumed with creativity. Oh, we could do this, I could do this, I can do that. And all of a sudden, it's kind of, you know, you're right. If you're not jotting it down somewhere, it sits there, it keeps regurgitating. You almost have dreams about it. Next thing in the morning, you end up start working on something and missing the goals of what you're doing here. And I guess this is the thing you get. I think, especially with people at the early stage of, you know, individuals that are moving from careers to going into startups or starting their own businesses and stuff like this. I get the whole age-old, I'm really great with ideas. I have so many ideas. I just can't get them to work. So this kind of process that you have of a book by the bed, or, you know, a jot pad to unleash out, basically. What you know, it's great to get it out of your head so you can you know, you can open the space for the more important things to come in. But do you create some form of a routine to go back and look at these things, or do you think, right, okay, it's just, you know, as and when the path will cross for that idea or notion, we'll look at it. Do you in your system, the way you do it, do you spend a part of your day the next day looking at what you wrote the night before?
So yeah, I mean, this is great. The rituals are the one thing that's going to keep you in shape, because you need to think about your goals and your year, and you need to have this framework where everything you do bounces in between the framework. It's like a train track. You need to keep on track. So something I do is I've got a planner, and I'm happy to send it to your network. I plan my Sunday, my week in advance every Sunday, and I got a planner. And the one thing that I do is on my plan. I plan my Monday to Sunday, but on the side I've got something called projects. I've got this thing called projects where on the projects I list all the big things I'll ever be working on. And when I plan my week, I reflect back and I look at my activities to see if they line up with my big projects. If there's something that I'm doing that's not in my big projects, I ask myself why the hell I'm doing it. Because the key to motivation is conviction, knowing why you do something. And that's what allows me just to be very, like, almost low on procrastination. I'm very, very procrastinate because I get things done because it all links to my bigger purpose projects. So every morning, I reflect on this. And if you've got a creative idea in your journal, ask yourself, is it going to serve you now? Is it something for this week? Is it aligned with your bigger projects? If not, put it to the side because you have to live by what I call non-negotiables. It's like if you ask a parent, and a good parent, do you forget to feed your kids or do you forget to take your kids to school? They're going to say, of course not. You need that energy with your goals. These are the things I'm working on. Of course I'm not going to skip. Yeah. So I focus on my big projects and everything else is on the side.
Amazing, 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 amazing stuff. Guys, come on. We have Raghav Parkash on for another 25 minutes. It's screaming through the hour. I can't believe how fast they're going. We've got viewers from Kenya. We've got viewers from the UK. Utum has just joined us, and thanks Utum for sharing the post out in the live. Basically, Anish is saying great job. Denise Mortimer's on saying hi guys, nice strategy and staying on track, etc. We've got Raghav Parkash. We've been talking about all sorts of stuff from depression and anxiety to peak performance right the way through. We just touched on comfort and clarity, and I know we're going to push on to confidence in a little while in this respect. But Raghav, before we kind of go into confidence, what I love about this is you talk consistently about non-negotiables, and I think, again, I don't want to use the word discipline in this, but this is a form of discipline. You are almost not battling, but you're engaging your mind to say this is a non-negotiable. You don't. I mean, I've had Samantha Skelly on recently, and she has this whole thing about her morning rituals, which are non-negotiable. She'll never negotiate against what she does in the mornings. In this sense, how important. With the work that you do, because this isn't something that you hear every day. I don't hear a lot of performance coaches talk about non-negotiables. It seems as though you've got this channel of programming which you start to embed into your clients and the people that you work with. How important is having non-negotiables? And the other thing is, how many non-negotiables should you have? Because if you've got too many, then you think you're also burdening yourself with too much work to do as well.
Yeah, so how important is non-negotiables? How many? Well, on the importance of the non-negotiables, it's essential because this is one of the quote, and I sent it out to my database, funny enough, last night. I got an email through at 10:30 this morning. And with this quote that really changed my thinking, it was, you make your habits and rituals, and your habits and rituals make you. So the thing is, we all have non-negotiables, by the way. If you're someone out there that says, I haven't planned my non-negotiables, you've got non-negotiables. Even if it's waking up, hitting the snooze button, having a coffee, having unhealthy food, those are your non-negotiables, things you just don't go without even realizing. So we all have habits and rituals, but the question I ask is, what ones are going to help you get closer towards your goals?
Yes.
So having non-negotiables are essential because we all have habits and rituals, even if it's waking up late for work and then forgetting to take your dog for a walk or turning up late for your date night. And we all have rituals that either serve us or hold us back. So it's about creating the non-negotiables that will work versus don't work. So guys, you're not doing something new, so you're not adding more stuff on, you're just doing something different, 2 millimeters different. So non-negotiables are so essential because they make you. You become what you do daily. We think about owning our life. You only own your life if you own your day, because you create your life on a day-by-day basis. So you have to design your day, and you have to own each day, because tomorrow is never guaranteed. The big arc, the big ship you guys are trying to create, your vision, it's made by what you do on a day-by-day basis, brick by brick, brick piece by piece. Now, how many non-negotiables? It's, again, stacking the deck in your favor and creating a system where you can get the maximum results for the least amount of steps. Something I love is morning rituals, and you mentioned it earlier, Ketan.
Yeah.
I remember one of my friends who's really big on morning rituals said, Rag, I once spent 2 hours in the morning doing it. And I thought, 2 hours? You're kidding me. I couldn't do 2-hour morning rituals. Because in personal development, there's so many rituals you can do. Alkalizing, trampolining, going for the gym, swimming, having a green shake, incantations, affirmations, reading, journaling, visualization, going for an hour power. I mean, the list goes on. You can spend a whole day doing morning rituals, which makes that, yeah. So instead, I just look at, what do I want out of my morning? I want gratitude, I want focus and appreciation, and I want to connect to myself. So I do 4 things every morning, 4 or 5 things, and I stick to them, and I do it within 20 minutes because I say to myself, I need 20 minutes, half an hour to myself every day. If I can't get that, what life am I living? If I can't have 30 minutes for me every day. So non-negotiables, essential. How many? Stack the deck in your favor. Make it easy for you to follow through than not follow through. If you've got a list, you've been to UPW, Tony Robbins, you've got all these things you think you need to do and you're not following through, get rid of them. Start with 1. That will really make the difference. Then add another over time. After 30 days, once you've conditioned the habit, then add another after 30 days. So slow and steady, and just see what works for you, because what Ketan might like for his morning ritual won't work for me. I know people that do yoga. I don't do yoga. I know people that meditate. I do meditation. But it's just what works for you.
No, I love that. And I love the part specifically where you say, even if it's a step-by-step process, one by one. I think sometimes we get consumed by the fact that we want results really fast. We want, because it's very easy for us to sort of turn and look over our shoulder at what our neighbours are doing and compare ourselves to their abilities and not really understanding where they go. But this is very much about you. What do you want? Where do you want to go? How do you want to achieve it? What can you deliver? And this other thing, the important bit that you raised about the 30 days of constant continual action, because from there it then forms itself into a habit, which I've talked to people in the past, that then there are certain triggers that happen during the day which enforce those habits. I think that's some amazingly dynamite stuff there, basically. And guys, if you're listening out there and you think that you're over consuming yourself with so much in your rituals, that's probably it's probably better for you to take a step back and maybe look at the 2 or 3 things that are most important to you, and then move on from there. My rituals are going to be very different to Raghav's, but we have the same principles on the basis that there are I allot a certain amount of time for head clearing. I have a lot of time for prioritizing, and then it's just get into the swing of certain things. I think by this time of the day, I'm almost on autopilot. Things are happening and moving, and then I get to a stage where actually when I'm tired, I just stop. I'm prone to having 10 to 15 minute power naps, maybe watching a bit of TV while I'm working in that process, just to re-energize me. But that's what works for me. It allows me to get back onto this. So build your own systems. Don't have to marry and match up to what everyone else is doing. Oh, Raghav meditates, so I've got to meditate. No, it doesn't work like that. It's got to work for you, not just the fact that someone does it and they are successful. So let's go back very quick. Oh, we've got some more people coming, joining in. So Raha Amin to join us. Page is back. Utan's doing a great job. Frank Sakasta, correct. We are not just a product of our environments, inhabit, but creators of them too. Can't agree with you more, Frank. Thank you very much for joining us as well. Okay, I know Coach Sagasta wakes up at 2:50 a.m. every morning and has some great rituals in place. Brilliant. Wow. Maybe Frank, you should come on and we can share some of those rituals with our audiences as well. I just want to pull you back into the confidence piece, because we talked about comfort and clarity, and you brought some amazing sort of insights into this area. What about confidence in this kind of thing? Because confidence can be exuded in so many different ways and so many different things. How does confidence play on both sides of your business and your service, Raghav? How does it play in personal development, and how does it play in peak performance?
This is one of my favorite bits. I love the topic of confidence, because the more I look into it, there's so much more stuff.
Yeah.
And I want to just start by saying, I've had this conversation with a friend the other day, and having confidence is nothing to do with arrogance, is nothing to do with overconfidence. So by the way, guys, if you think about confidence as a ladder, and you see someone that's overconfident, that's not overconfident, that's an insecurity. So it's like you're veering off. You're on a different path. You're not on confidence path. Arrogance is not on the confidence path. It's completely unrelated. So confidence is essential, but the key is to start by knowing what confidence is. Now, confidence isn't how you see yourself. That's self-belief and self-esteem. You have to differentiate self-esteem to confidence. Confidence is about going to do something, the ability to be able to do something, how you feel about it. Not everyone, by the way, is overly confident. There's no one on this planet that is confident in everything you do, because there's this misconception that some people are confident, some people aren't. I went to the seminar the other day, and a friend of mine said, "Oh, you've got to meet Rag, he's Mr. Confident." And when she said that, I was like, "Oh no!" No one, they don't see what goes behind the closed doors.
Yeah.
They don't see what really happens.
Yeah.
Because there's areas of my life that I'm confident in, like all you guys, and there's areas that you're not. So no one is confident or not confident. It's like at times you're hungry, times you're not hungry.
Yes.
So when you want confidence, think about where you want that shift in your life, because it's that belief in yourself that's going to create the shift. You know, one of the biggest lessons I learned from my first ever coaching session from this guy in San Diego, I loved his San Diego accent. He said, Rag, everything in your life is 80% mindset, 20% strategy. So the mindset is so important because we all know the how, but to keep following through, it's the internal stuff. You've got to work on your internal mechanisms. So I love confidence, working on your ability to go and do something. Work on your self-esteem and self-belief, how you see yourself. I always work on that every single day. It's something that you can't work hard enough on, because the key to life is knowing yourself. When you know yourself, you get the next level. This is the next level for me. The next level is certainty. That's the level that I aspire to. Confidence is great, and like a lot of us are confident. We're all confident, but I'm after certainty. That's the level that inspires me. When I hear that word, it just lights something up inside of me. I don't know what, but that's the level that I'm like, wow, certainty. That's what you want, because confidence will help you go and do things. But when you're with your customers and they're saying, Rag, can this help me? And you come from a good place, you got a great product, and you're like, yeah, I think it can. I'm sure I can. It's like, you know what? I know this can. I feel it, and they feel it. They have this certainty with you, and they have this love about what you do and this passion that comes through. That's the highest form of and purity of confidence. Certainty, which is knowing yourself and what you do inside out and living what you breathe. You know, it's beautiful. So there's just something in confidence. I can talk for hours about it, but confidence is essential, because if you don't believe in you and give yourself confidence, no one's going to give that to you. It's going to start with you first.
Yeah, and it's almost as you kind of you alluded to in what you just said there. It's almost the broadcast of energy as well. I think, you know, when, like you say, when you deep down you believe, you understand, you know, and you're certain. You know, that certainty. That exudes out in such a different type of energy, which I think, you know, as much as we have words and articulations and expressions, I think, you know, a lot of this plays in energy, in the way that we transmit energy to one another. I mean, from being a keynote on a stage to actually running, you know, more intimate workshops and webinars, you know, whether it's digital or physical, there is this energy that needs to be exuded. And I think the more you, you know, from what you're saying, the more you have this certainty about you, the more it's not you're exuding arrogance or ego, it's more the energy of I can drive there. And within that, there's, again, it's all perceptual. You know, those that perceive this person to be overconfident and arrogant, is that, you know, that's a complex that they have. It's not the person who's exuding fault in that respect. So interestingly, with confidence and creating this balance, I think, you know, I've got a controversial guest coming on next week.
All right.
Jason Cannell is going to be on the show, and as
you
know, you've read that article. I think a lot of people have read that article. And,
everyone's read the article. It's trending. He's created quite a buzz.
He has created a buzz, and beyond this, I've got another guy coming on who was Tony Robbins' ex chief of security as well. So, and he's moving through. I think where there is this whole thing. The reason I bring this as a part of the topic is the perception part, and I think I just want to top into this a little bit. You know, and the personal development industry itself in terms of how it's changed. You know, it's exploded over the last 6 or 7 years. You know, we've got some real rights and we've got some real wrongs in this respect. But it's all about ethics for me, you know, in the fact of what you do and what I do is we develop people and we develop opportunities and we develop environments, and we've got to do this from an ethical range. There is no point in just saying to people, go and do it, by the way, pay me for telling you to go and do it. You know, in the work that you do and the way that you do this, how much of this you know, in terms of ethics do you have in terms of where you take your client and the way in which you engage with your client? And I want you to finish off answering the question about your opinion of the current state of the personal development industry.
Controversial. What a question.
Yes, League of Disruptors. So right. I want to know about how ethics plays within your practice. And what's important about the way in which, and are there occasions where you've got people saying, I want you to do this with me, Raghav, and you're like, no, this is not the right thing for you. And the other side of it is what is your perception of the industry that we currently work in?
Yeah, so I mean, with ethics, ultimately the place to come from is just putting your client first. My client's number one. That's why with the people I work with, I only take on maximum 12 people in one go, because I like to be very intimate with my clients and just be able to focus on their needs and what they want. And that's the key, because a lot of us, and this comes back onto the latter part of the question, which I will answer, and I love the space where we don't have to be very shy and we can just be open. There are lots of people that just want to churn people through the system, one after the other. And it depends on your goal, but ultimately, my number one value is impact. So you just got to really ask yourself why you're in the game, because in personal development, everyone's really open, everyone's trusting. Everyone, says that everyone's here just to serve from the heart, and it's not really true. So ethics are so important, because you would have heard, and all of you know certain names. When I say controversial in personal development, you're going to be thinking, oh, that person, that person, that person. The truth will always set you free. The truth will shine through. So if you can build the foundations, doing a great business, really sustainable, coming from a good place, then ultimately the truth will shine through and people will say good things about you. Without trying to blow my trumpet, I had a few friends the other day turn around and say, Raghav, we've just heard you in different environments. Everyone's raving about you. How? What are you doing? And I said, it's just doing what I love and just living with commitment, conviction, love, and compassion. That's it. Just staying really straight. So if you do that, you're going to have great word of mouth marketing. But when you do something out of the book and you're bad word of mouth marketing, it spreads 5 times faster because people love gossip. So if you're starting out in this industry, as a coach, come from the right place. It will always set you free. Shortcuts are going to cost you miles. They're going to cost you distances. So when we come onto what's wrong in this industry, with everything in life, what we need to remember before I say this, there's a yin and a yang, there's a good and the bad. For bad to exist, there has to be good. For good to exist, there has to be bad. Light and dark. It's the harmony of this universe that keeps everything perfect. You can never have a completely clean industry. There's not one industry on this planet that's completely clean. However, saying that, there's unfortunately a lot of charlatans in this industry. And if you're someone like us that's recognized it, don't give your focus to them, because I was so wound up and heated up by all these people that are doing whatever. And it distracted me from being me and living my passion, my truth, and doing my great work. So although they're out there, there's a lot of challenges in industry, like coaches that see and I know them connected to that need to really work on themselves first. Healers that need to do their own healing, that healing for the reasons of trying to help others because they can't help themselves. So and I'd love to see your view on this, Ketan, but there's lots of challenges in this industry. People manipulating from stage, selling products that they shouldn't really be selling, painting the dream, and people buying products they think they need to buy this product. So that if there's one thing I could recommend, guys, if you're in this industry, don't buy without conviction. Your next step needs to be something that's genuinely going to serve you. Just connect with yourself and ask yourself, what do I need right now? Because you might not need another training course, this training, that training by a self-nominated, I've seen loads of apparently #1 speaker, trainer, coaches in the world, self-nominated. I mean, there's lots of that nonsense going around, and the real people don't need to keep advertising themselves, even with spirituality. Oh, I'm really spiritual. Anyone, in my view, who's really spiritual doesn't say they're spiritual. So you just got to be able to cut the noise back and just find the truth in this industry, because there's so many great coaches out there and so many great speakers, and they're out there. You just got to go and find them. So it's a very I could speak about this for hours and hours. I mean, what's your view, Ketan, on this industry?
No, it's interesting. I get interviewed on my own show, but this is my perception of things is, yes, it used to cause me a lot of frustration and anger. It's one of the reasons to why I kind of work in that area of disruption. Disruption is, for me, in a positive thing about evoking change. It has to start from within. It is about challenging convention. It is about creating imbalances and continuing that action over and over and over again. I am so with you with this whole thing of, at the end of the day, no industry is ever going to be squeaky clean, but we shouldn't be playing into other people's agendas. At the end of the day, the minute you spotlight into someone who's doing it wrong and for the wrong reasons, you're taking the shift power away from yourself, and you're giving a spotlight to them. In fact, it almost creates more and more attention and awareness to it. So you end up feeding the very problem that you're against in that respect. for me, what it's about. It's about ability and identity, in the sense that do I really think I can do what I can do? I get this whole sense that within the industry, people are trying to hold on to their clients for as long as they possibly can, whereas the very nature of personal development is such a fluid and free concept that I could work with someone for 10 minutes and never see them again in my life, or I can end up working with them for 10 months and I'll be a center part of their life. And that's the way I see the industry. It is the situation where it's them, it's about them. It's the kind of thing that Mitch was saying yesterday. Whatever you're doing out there, stop talking about yourself, start talking about them. The people that are out there. The way you do this as well, it's not about you. Yes, okay, you gravitate around your expertise and your experiences. That's the only chink that's about you. The rest of it's about them. Where I see the industry going wrong, it's all about, I have a system that can make you money. I have a system that can make you this. You can change. You can change this. You can change this. You can change this. But everyone's different. How can you guarantee this? These kind of words. And for me, that's where things start to go wrong. It's when you kind of overpromise and underdeliver. Whereas and the problem that comes with, especially for people that are coming in to the industry, who are new to personal development, who are new to the industry, who are new to this type of career. They get painted with the same brush, same toxic brushes. Oh, you are just here to steal my money. I mean, don't get me wrong. A lot of my clients over the last 4 or 5 years have been people that have been burnt by the industry. I made part of my career and my service to actually overturn people's perceptions and attitudes and outcomes from having poor coaching, poor mentoring, having bad experiences where they've spoon thousands away and felt I can never do it again. And what? I've had to produce principles at that point where I've just turned around and said, I'm not even going to take a penny from you right now. I'll take it based on my results, just to bring it back, because I don't want to be casted with the same brush as someone who's not doing it the right way. And I suppose my argument to that is exactly where you stand. Stop. It's a situation where we've got to stop focusing spotlight on that and just keep doing what we're doing, because at the end of the day, that's the truth will set you free. And that's where my last question is going to come to. But I think you might have had something to add to that.
Yeah, I just want to say that I agree with you, because even my clients, I tell them they don't need me, because I've had clients have turned away because I think, look, you don't need to splash this. There's things you can do here and here and here. And coaching is great. I recommend everyone gets coaching and mentoring from a place of wanting it when you're in the right place, because I've had crazy stories where I don't want to say who, and I don't name drop. You can't name bash, but I've heard this story about this guy that went to, I don't want to say what course, he went on a course and he basically was walking the streets because he had no money. And by the end of it, he was upsold onto this 10K course where he's calling up his friends, trying to find the money to then go and do this course. And he has no money. This guy was walking the street. And I've heard stories like this. And it's crazy how the personal development industry is so great at painting the dream, because this is the one thing. We all want happiness at the end of the day. Happiness is not got from any course. They tell you that courses are going to teach you how to be happy because they're going to help you have the money, and there's all these fake testimonials, and ignore all of that. The thing that you need to recognize is happiness comes by living your values. Not everyone needs the car, the house, not everyone needs a property in Spain or on the beach, or there's this illusion. And that's why personal development does what it does. It creates this big facade that you need all these things to be happy. When you really know yourself, then you don't fall for all these scams. So it's just keep doing your inner work. And absolutely, like the personal development, everyone out there who's got a slight negative view on it, just be aware of it, but don't live there emotionally, because I hear the same people bashing it again and again and again. And I think you're spending more time doing that than a good work, doing what you do as a great coach. So make sure you know it's there, but you don't live there, and you focus on breathing your mission. That's so important.
And ladies and gentlemen, that is the truth. There we go. Raghav Parkash. We have come to the end. We've run out of time. But before we finish off, I just want to take some comments from the audience here. Basically, Mr. Parkash is absolutely on key. Starting with self-actualization and great mentorship on coaching, this will bring in more confidence and assertion. Told your vision or what you want to attain in your life at the moment's end. There is so much uncertainty with those who are not rich with understanding and knowledge of the field. Therefore, the best recommendation to give anyone is to get involved themselves with those people who are having years of experience, research and schooling. And then he's come up and said, amen. You've got, it's all about the inner work from Uttam as well. You've got some great supporters and advocates of what the work that you're doing and the beliefs that you have. But Raghav, for people around the world that watch this and people here in the UK, how can they kind of stay connected to you or get connected to you? And is there anything that you offer which could, you know, help them in their journey of personal development and, you know, getting to their peak? So I guess, how can people connect with you, and you know, how can they get access to your programs and stuff like that you run?
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Well, the best thing to do about connecting with me, I've got my website and I send it to Ketan. That's www.raghavparkash.com. It's just my first, second name.com. Mm-hmm. It says Raghav, RAGHAVPARKASH. I'm sure Ketan's going to send it around and put it in here.
Yeah.
And the other thing is to connect me on Facebook, because I do a video every single day, like a live video, 7 minutes to 10 minutes long. So you can watch that, connect to me there. But in terms of what I'm doing, yeah, I've got loads of different programs. And that, you know, I could talk about it for a while, but the best thing to do is just reach out to me, because I'm a coach and I'd love to just see what would be right for you. I don't know if the program's going to be right or coaching, but if it's someone that wants to invest in yourself and grow and be your best, and you got a big vision of what's possible for this year in 2017, at the least, I'd love to just connect with you, have a conversation, and see if I can help. And if not, I can refer you to one of my friends if they're going to be right, or whatever's right for you, or at least add value to you on the call. But just reach out to me, because I don't bite, so just send me a message.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So there you have it, guys. Raghav Parkash, we salute you. Thank you for coming on to League of Disruptors.
Pleasure.
So that wraps up today, but that doesn't wrap up for the month. You've already seen, or if you haven't already seen, we have a full list of people coming on. Tomorrow, actually no, it's now on the 20th, we have Cool Mahai coming on. He's going to be talking about personal development as well. We have got some infamous people. We've got some true disruptors coming in for the rest of the week. I still got to get hold of Mr. JP de Villiers, who was trying to contact me while I was doing this show with you, Raghav. So we're going to see if we're going to squeeze him in, basically. But there you have it, guys. If you are looking for insights, if you're looking for support and you know, in the personal development space, into how to become your peak, get in touch, connect with Raghav, you know, go and see his videos, you know, check out raghavparkash.com. I'll put it onto the feed very, very shortly. Just go and take some form of action, connect, and, you know, the possibilities are endless from there. But for now, my name's Ketan Makwana. This is the League of Disruptors show, and I'll see you guys very, very soon.